Good afternoon, Mets fans, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and this is my second attempt to record this video today. I recorded earlier this morning as I was driving into work, and as I was rendering the video and uploading it to YouTube after I'd edited it, I deleted the source before the upload was finished, and so here I am again, recording again, because I deleted all the appropriate files before I confirmed that the video was correct. That was a very Mets move of me, and coming off of a weekend of tears and sorrow and horrific baseball, why not? It was sort of appropriate. Of course, we were all rewarded, if that's possible to think of it this way, with a win last night, late into the night. After a 3-hour rain delay, the Mets did win a baseball game last night, which I didn't know was possible. But I'm going to talk about the weekend series with the Brewers, the series, the doubleheader yesterday with the Braves, and some injury news. Oh, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the greatest pitcher on the planet, deGrom. I try to stay positive. I try to stay super positive as a Mets fan. It's not easy. It's very rarely easy to stay positive with this team. On Twitter, I read something over the weekend that was sort of like, it was after they blew the first game of the doubleheader yesterday. It was sort of like, I can't remember who posted it, but it was sort of like, how many times does a team and does a fan base have to endure a soul-crushing defeat in a season? And is it like one time or two times where it's like, it's just a soul-crushing loss? And the suggestion there was like maybe once or twice a year, and then that person went on to suggest that as Mets fans we have to deal with that 3 times a week, it seems. And it's probably an exaggeration, but at the end of the day, it just feels true, because every single day it seems like things are going as bad as they could possibly go. And for the first 2 weeks or so of the season, Mickey Callaway could push no wrong button. I mean, everything he was doing was working out beautifully. Since then, like the polar opposite. It seems like every time Mickey pushes a button, it's the wrong button. And it's why I say all the time, I have a hard time blaming a manager for major league players not performing properly. You gotta perform. It's up to the players to execute. And for me, it's always the pitchers that are most culpable for this. Where it's like, when you're brought in from the bullpen and you have a single job to do, and that job is to retire the batter, and you don't do it, you can't blame the manager. Now, yes, you could sort of say, well, you know, this guy didn't play this guy matches up better with this other guy, or this reliever would have been a better fit there. And it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback all the time when things don't go well. And boy, things have not gone well of late for the Mets. But I can't blame Mickey Callaway for a lot of it. I see that you can. I know that people do. I know that people question, why didn't he bring in Familia? Why did he bring in Familia? At this point, until the team starts winning again, everything he does is going to be scrutinized under a microscope. It's just the way it goes. So the bottom line for me is, stop blaming the manager and start blaming the players. And the players need to do their jobs, period. Now, on to the weekend, or I guess back to the weekend. The Mets had a 4-game series with the Brewers. The Brewers have the best record in the National League. And really, the Mets very realistically could have taken 3 games out of the 4. Of course, they had that game where they lost by a touchdown or 2 on Saturday. That was fun. But you know, the rest of the series was really competitive, and the Mets played pretty well. But again, it just goes back to this inability of the team to get the big out when they need to. The Mets bullpen has been so atrocious over the last 2 weeks or so. Going into yesterday's doubleheader, the second game of it, the Mets bullpen had given up 20 earned runs in 20 innings pitched. That is for those of you who aren't good at math, that is an ERA of 9. That means that you're giving up a run an inning. That's not good. That's no bueno, as Keith would say. The bullpen was better last night, but man, oh man, did they ever just shit the bed. all weekend long, and it bled over into yesterday's game 1 of the doubleheader, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But back to the weekend series in Milwaukee. Brandon Nimmo continues to shine offensively, and it's looking to me like Michael Conforto is really close to breaking out. The disappointment for me is Jay Bruce. It continues to be Jay Bruce. Seeing what Lorenzo Cain did to the Mets this weekend in Milwaukee, and knowing that he was an option for the Mets, and again, this is Monday morning quarterback stuff, because I was one of the people who was on board with bringing Jay Bruce back. He's always been a consistent 30 home run hitter. Not the case this year. Is it because he's hurt? I don't know. But the bottom line is, seeing Lorenzo Cain play athletic defense and fly around the bases and do extremely well for the Brewers just makes you wonder, boy, what could have been if the Mets had signed Lorenzo Cain? And it's hard to do that. It's hard to objectively look at that and be like, man, we made the wrong choice. It's not hard. It's easy to do it. It's easy to look back and know what you know now, looking, a month, 2 months, 3 months in the past. Say, man, we made a mistake with this person. Boy, we should have got that guy. You can't do that. You just have to sort of deal with what you have. And what the Mets have is a flawed team. But, as I said, I think they're starting to break out in a few areas offensively that will be a huge help for the team going forward, especially as we near the DL returns of Todd Frazier, and hopefully not long after that, Yoenis Cespedes will be back. The lineup will definitely be deeper with those guys in it, and they absolutely need to get back. The defense as well has been so sketchy without Frazier, especially in the infield. His presence is absolutely necessary. He is in Vegas right now rehabbing. They're expecting him back in the next week, within the next week or so. So that's good news. There's some reinforcements on the way there. Okay, so the weekend set, as I said, lost to the Brewers 3 out of 4. Very easily could have, perhaps should have, won 3 out of 4. So after the weekend series, the Mets went to Atlanta to play the Braves, and it didn't go very well in game 1. Jacob deGrom, for me, continues to prove why he is one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Jake is an absolute delight to watch pitch. I'm sorry. He is... I tweeted this yesterday during the game. He has bigger stones than everybody on this pitching staff combined. deGrom was brilliant once again yesterday, and once again he failed to capture a win, and it's most definitely not his fault. Over his last 8 starts, Jacob deGrom's ERA is 0.94. He had that 34 or 32 inning streak where he didn't give up an earned run. That was broken yesterday thanks to Tyler Flowers and his home run in the 7th inning. But in those 8 games with that sub-1 ERA, deGrom has 2 wins. 2. Not the pitcher's fault. Jake has a 1.52 ERA on the season. That is the 2nd lowest ERA in all of baseball, and it is the lowest ERA in the National League. He's got 85 strikeouts, 3rd in the National League. His whip is 1.01. I believe that's 6th in all of baseball. Jacob deGrom is pitching like a Cy Young, and he's not getting the support he needs from his team, getting him the wins that he so greatly deserves. It's hard to watch, and I can't imagine how it is for him, for the athlete who just dominates the way that he does and doesn't get the win to show for it. And I know the wins are an overrated stat, so I've always said they are, because so much of it is outside of the pitcher's control. But man, it can't make it any easier, knowing that I can't, what else do I have to do? And even if he went up there and threw a complete game shutout, I would still expect the Mets to figure out how to lose the game, or at least get him a no decision. It's just unbelievable to me. PJ Conlon's made 2 starts. The Mets have won both games. The guy's ERA is 11-something. They can't win for deGrom to save his life. And it's a damn shame, because he deserves to have 8 to 9 to 10 wins right now on the season, and he's got 4. and that's unfortunate. The first game of yesterday's doubleheader was one of those soul-crushing games, like I mentioned earlier. And the decision to stick with Seth Lugo in the 9th inning, obviously in hindsight, was a bad one. I was on board with it. I felt like leave Lugo in. You've already used him. It's going to be hard to use him in Game 2 anyway. Save Familia the fresh arm. But going back on what I was thinking then and looking at it now, I'm sort of more appreciative of the whole Steven Strasburg question debate thing. You know, where the Nationals decided we're going to sit Strasburg, he's not going to pitch the rest of the year because we'll be back. You know, we'll be here again and again and again. And that line of thinking was my line of thinking with saving Familia yesterday. Not exactly the same, but similar, where the right approach should have been, we have to win this game today, right now. We'll worry about tonight's game tonight. Right now we have to win now. And the Mets didn't do that yesterday. They stuck with Lugo, who didn't have his best stuff, and obviously we know what happened. We got Connor Gillespie by some other no-name schlub who hit a home run. 6-year career, this is his 7th home run that he's ever hit. So, you know, that's what happens when you got a slugger up there against the Mets. The Mets seem to make the Braves look like a team of Joe DiMaggio's, just a team of absolute all-star players. They're not, but man, they just look unbelievable against the Mets. They really do. Finally, I just want to chat real quickly about the DL. There were 2 moves over the weekend. The Mets placed AJ Ramos and Wilmer Flores on the 10-day DL, and in their places on the roster removed Hansel Robles and Kevin Plawecki from the DL. So Plawecki and Robles are back. Both of them were key ingredients in last night's win in Game 2 of the doubleheader. Robles pitched 2 or 3 scoreless innings, which made me think we were in the Upside Down from Stranger Things. And Plawecki had 3 hits. So all this means now is that we won't have to see Ramos for a little bit. Instead, we'll be able to point our fingers up to the sky for Hansel Robles. And it also means we won't be seeing Tomas Nido for a while. And that's a good thing as well. I could probably keep going. I'm trying to remember exactly what I said this morning, but it's not coming to me. So I'm just going to try to wrap it up now. It's been over 10 minutes, and I'm sorry for blabbering so long. But I do thank you for watching the video. If you want to reach me on Twitter, you can do so at Mr_Met. That's MISTER_MET. Again, thanks for watching. And as always, let's go Mets.